Hello there, everybody. So I basically am doing this video as a excuse to talk to everyone. So this is Patriot Kitchen, so I have to cook something. So I heard a lot of uproar regarding Trump's post about leaving Pense alone. He's didn't do anything wrong. So let me just show you what I'm doing. Okay, so these are just regular cookies for cookie dough, right? I'm going to show you how to bake without having to use butter or oil. So you want to reduce the calories. If you're going to bake them, why add oil and butter to give you more calories than you need, right? So let's do this. Another one. Let's see, take two. Just going to cut these in squares, right? And how you cook these without needing butter or oil is, or cooking spray, is you put it on a ceramic pan. My personal, well, I mean, there's probably better ones out there, but this is what I could afford. I got the Gotham Steel, and that's what I use. So what you do, oh crap, forgot. Okay, so let's start this. Oh, hold on. I think my oven's off by 5 degrees. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, this thing calls for 10 to 12 minutes or something like that. These things are nowhere near done, so I do about 14 minutes. So don't need any kind of grease or anything. You just put them on, bake it, let it sit for a minute. When it comes out, and they just pop right off. And as a matter of fact, there's a little bit of grease that comes out of the cookies that allow them to slide off as well. So there you have it. All right, so Democrats, liberals, right, left, all the like are in this uproar about this post that Trump made of Pense. Now, I've read different opinions. I haven't seen anything on Rumble yet about it. I am a podcast junkie, I will admit. But here's my take. Okay, so since being awake and since watching Pense closely, in the beginning I was torn. I was like, maybe he's just playing the simple part of being vice president and having to certify the election. Maybe it was something beyond his power. But then I've seen other people who are watching his, I think it was after January 6th, who were watching him in particularly closely. And he, I'm so sorry. He got a coin from, Nancy Pelosi and her little crew, right? He got a coin, puts it in his pocket, and she elbow rubs him, right? I'm like, oh wow, he's part of the deep state. That was my first instinct, right? However, the Q post used to say, who's helping POTUS? Now, all of us think it's military intelligence, right? Because he said that he's surrounded, like, who supports you? Well, he's surrounded by 200 generals, and not only the generals, but also their divisions, right? But who else is supposed to help POTUS is vice president, right? And Chris Miller did thank him for helping the most complex military mission in U.S. history. Now, I went from thinking he was a good guy, thinking he was terrible. Now I'm torn again. So here's maybe three possibilities that I could ascertain through all of this, okay? Goodness, what was that girl that claimed that POTUS jumped in front of the car and made the driver stop or whatever? What was her name? Define a plant, right? Now, there's multiple meanings. What if, hear me out, what if Mike Pence is actually a plant to the deep state? Because he's been playing their games for a long time, but maybe he doesn't necessarily agree with it. Maybe he came clean. All right, so that's one possibility. The second possibility is he was originally a black cat and he is now, his hand is forced to flip, and while the establishment still thinks he's a black cat and he's still playing their games, he's actually capitulating to the good guys now. That's two. Or three, Trump is drawing attention to Pence, and then they actually find something, and Pence was indeed bad all along, and disinformation is necessary. So that's what I could ascertain by the whole thing, right? Typically, I like to tie my hair up when I'm cooking, but I'm just throwing cookies on a pan and popping it in the oven. I need to let it breathe. Just got it cut, by the way, so it's not straggly and gross looking. So yeah, we have that. What else is going on that is quite interesting? I know I have these long pauses, these pregnant pauses, as I slowly blink into the camera. What else has been going on? Well, McCarthy so far is on the good side. Now, I have noticed, since the little argument that I had regarding Ron DeSantis, with him doing the investigation for the COVID crimes or whatever is going on, right? Somebody posted the actual, I don't know if it's an executive order that the governor signs in, whatever that document is, some kind of order. And he had it highlighted where it does say if people are endangering themselves or other people for health reasons, we can lock them down. I didn't see far enough, so I'm not going to say, but somebody did mention somewhere that he did mention vaccinations, but because I didn't personally see, I'm not going to state it as fact. Even though everything I'm telling you now, you should do your research anyway. You should never take what anybody says at face value and run with it, okay? None of us knows exactly what's going on in this country, but what you can do is follow the pen. See what these people are writing down, what they're signing for, and what they're voting on. And that's how you can get a pretty good idea of whose side they're on. There's only two sides. You're either on the side of we the people in this country, or you're on the side of the deep state establishment. Okay? So Ron DeSantis has been rubbing me wrong lately. Now, he says all the right things. He says he's going to do all the right things, but what does he say on paper that people tend to not read? And that's what this establishment depends on, is the fact that we don't read what they're writing. And many people don't. And this is why they get away with what they get away with. Now, you can sit back and watch the news as if it's just a movie. But we as citizens have to do our due diligence and do the research and see what these people are actually up to. And also get involved in this government, because let me tell you something, after everything's said and done and these people are caught for what they're doing, there's gonna be a lot of vacancies. You know, maybe you'll take office someday. Who's to say you cannot? So yeah, that's part of it. So a lot of people, since that argument, I've been posting this particular document on Truth Social, which if you don't have a Truth Social account, I have a hairbrush. If you do not have a Truth Social account yet, I strongly suggest you get one. Not for the sake of getting information, but it kind of gives you the feeling that you're really not alone, because that's where most people who love this country and want to exchange ideas and thoughts and feelings about what's going on, this is where we're kind of cyberly gathering, right? So I go on there and I'll read some tidbits here and there, and I do specifically follow Trump. Speaking of following, I don't know if I mentioned Red Pill 78's good. All right, so 14 minutes. Let me go look at a clock somewhere. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. I'm back. Okay. So, some big people that's very good to follow would be Trump himself, because many things of what he says is not just a inspirational text or anything like that, which, yes, he's a very inspirational or motivational person. Like, he wants you to do the best for yourself. You know, he's not like Obama where he will tell you, oh, you didn't build that. Trump says, we did build it and you can build more. Don't stop and don't give up. So, some big people to follow would be, if you haven't already, would be Trump himself. Dan Scavino, he's huge on comms, right? And initially when I followed Dan Scavino, because I liked him, like, he'll post a video about penguins, right? It's like, oh, cute, a penguin video. Well, if you look at the time duration of the video, and then let's say it's 45 seconds, you look at post 45, it'll say something, right? It'll say, you know, define book deals. Well, many people, actually I haven't seen a single person nip it. Everybody says, oh, cute penguins, or they were saying, oh, you know, dark winter, or some people were sort of along the lines of what a com would be. But Penguin is a huge com, okay? Because Penguin is a book company that does a lot of book deals with a lot of these corrupt politicians and other people the like. Not only that, but they were the only one that I've heard of that actually published a book on pedo, you know what I mean? So you have that. So this whole issue is, you know, follow the money thing, money laundering, things like that. So Dan Scavino is excellent for finding, and he posted that penguin video, I want to say within the week, you know, between last week and this week. Another good one is Kash Patel. I think he was the head of the DOD or DOJ. I think it's DOD. He's very good. He's very good at disseminating what's been said. He's almost like the commentator behind the comment regarding Trump and the mission. Michael Flynn's another very good person to follow. General Michael Flynn. I used to follow Lynn Wood for a while. I think he's decent. But those are some of the big guys, right? And I think you get a lot of your hardcore information to go by that gives you an idea of where we're going or where we've been. And then you have these alternative media podcasters that are also very good. If you want to catch up on a lot of past information, he has maybe 20 to 30 videos, if that, is Mr. Truth Bomb 2, one word, Mr. Truth Bomb number 2, like 2. I think his old one got deleted. He's a guy from Ireland that does extensive research. I don't think you'll be able to binge watch him because there are some of his videos that are anywhere from an hour, 30 minutes to 3 hours long. But it's jam-packed full of information. He does his due diligence through everything. He actually mentioned the vaccine at one point. Oh, yeah, at one point. In relation to Trump. Like, why is he promoting something that might possibly not be good, right? So he explains it explicitly. Now, new information's coming out. Define nuclear card. Well, Trump never promoted the said bippity boppity gotcha itself by, you know, he did say, you know, I think Johnson & Johnson's good, but Johnson & Johnson, I think, was maybe 2 weeks and they were gone. So he sat on Johnson & Johnson. I don't know if he actually promoted or not, but he said explicitly that he would never mandate it. It's up to you. you know, and that's it. Another thing is everyone's like, well, why is he doing it? Well, here's the simple fact is he's not a doctor, he's not a virologist, and he has nothing to do with the creation of medications of any kind. He needs an advisor for that. He's, you know, so he's telling, how do I explain this? Okay. So I'm a CEO of a company, right? Let's just say he's the CEO of United States Incorporated, right? And then you have these different presidents and heads of the department. So you do know overall how your company works. You have a good idea of it, but my accountant knows all the details of the accounting. So I trust him, because nothing's happened before, to continue running the accounting. And then in my department, I have, you know, department of, I don't even know what company I'm owning in my head right now, but let's say like beverage. Let's say I have a beverage company. So one person is the lab tech that creates the concoction that creates the beverage, right? I don't know what the ingredients are off the top of my head, like what every single one of them do, you know what I mean? All I know is it makes, you know what I mean, it works, and, you know, I'd like to think that the heads of my company are doing the right thing. Now, he did tell them, I'm entrusting you to do this, do the right thing. Now, you have to realize, you have to understand that this is a worldwide military sting operation. He's catching everybody, top to bottom. Right? This is a major cleanup job. And if you see someone rob your store, right, and you're 99% sure it's them, but you can't just outright call them out because you'll look crazy, and the person has that small chance of being innocent. So what you do is you let it go, and then the next time that person comes in, you watch them. All right, you can come in my store, do the right thing. And then you catch them stealing. Now I got you. So although Trump may have an idea of what goes on, you can't just outright say, oh, this is criminal, when you haven't even caught him yet. You know, it's like a cop watching somebody who's armed, you know, walking into a bank. You can't just right away assume that the guy's going to rob the bank. He could just have a license to carry, and he's going to make an ATM withdrawal or deposit. That doesn't mean that they're not going to watch, right? Just in case. I have a hair down my back. It drives me crazy. Sorry. Ha, got it. Okay. So with that said, he was also, I don't know this for fact, but apparently there was the nuclear button, or the nuclear card, that the deep state was going to hold in their back pocket. He knew about it. So you're playing a game of chess, right? So it's like, okay, if I make this move and I make this move, either way, I'm, you know, it's going to be messy either way. So nuclear threat, nuclear war is going to affect every single person on this planet. And it's going to kill many, at least a third of the population, right? The world's population. Or let them go ahead with Operation Warp Speed, create this bippity boppity gotcha, with also allowing people to not be locked down anymore, because the governors, and he says it doesn't need to be locked down, he locked us down anyway, to allow people to continue running their business and run their lives, because the economy is very important. You have that. And then he's also saying it's not going to be mandated. You have a choice. And even though they did write an executive order that you had to do it, and private companies enforced it, that's on them, not the president. Delta has to answer to that. The hospitals have to answer to it. And other companies that require this thing has to answer to it. And some states, like my state is going to have to answer to it. Now, here's the other thing. My friend, I call her my aunt. She got fired because she refused. So she ended up moving out because the state's impossible to live on with a single income. So she moved with her husband, or her new husband, to out of state. Now, since the judge in the Sixth Circuit Court, I want to say, she says that it's unconstitutional to force a procedure on somebody that they are refusing, right? So now, all these hospitals are trying to hire people back despite anything, and they're starting to accept more declination letters and things like that. But also, now the people are filing lawsuits and they're winning. Third, those who did lose their job are getting all of their back pay, including military, is getting all the back pay from the time they were fired to this point. So, just a little nugget of information. This is just what I gather from all the stuff that I've heard, stuff that I've read, you know, stuff that I've seen other podcasters talk about. Now, you'll get a whole plethora of different takes, and that's just us being human. Like, it's just how we could all read the same book and tell you a different story, you know? You could read the Bible 1,500 times, and you'll read the same verse, and you'll get something different out of it. So, you know, don't judge podcasters harshly. They're just like you and I. You know, this is just how they gather their information. The only thing I'm going to tell you is just be careful with the ones that tell you that they know someone at Q, or they're part of Q, or they're part of some intelligence agency and they're getting all this information and they know the dates and times. Be careful with those. Q says there are no prophets. There are no... It says, we are not prophets, you're not prophets, there are no prophets. They're not saying that in the sense of the Bible. They're saying that in the sense of these people who are going, I can feel it in my soul. Trump is going to be back. Hold on. Trump's coming back next month, and I think I see the 28th. Like, don't listen to it. Focus on the mission. You know, I love that man with every fiber of my being. And if I saw him face to face and I could only tell him one phrase, it would be, I love you. Or thank you. Or both, if I can. He has not... I haven't seen him do us wrong once. The guy's squeaky clean. He can't be bought. And that's why the deep state hates him so much. And another thing you gotta ask yourself, why is DeSantis not getting the scrutiny that Trump is? I mean, they got on his case a little bit with certain things, but not like they did with Trump. I mean, Trump's been out of office now for over 2 years, and they're still talking about him. He's rent-free in many of these never-Trumpers' minds. Another thing, the person's argument that stated to me, and I didn't think of it, she said that he didn't shut down Florida. He did, and it was even after Trump says you don't have to shut down your state. So, he did. For a little while, not long, but he did shut it down. So, oh, let me check the cookies. Ah, perfect timing. Yes. All right, so cancel. Turn that off. I like them a little crispy. See, that's perfect. They actually probably could use another minute or so, but you let them cool for about a minute, and they'll slide right off the pan. Right now, they're mushy and gushy, so they'll still slide off the pan, but it'll be a mess. I just wanted a reason to talk to you guys. I do really enjoy doing this. As a matter of fact, I could actually sit through my video, and I can't tell you how many videos I've deleted because I just can't stand the sound of my voice, or if I don't have someone talking to me and reciprocating, giving me the chance to listen or hear a question or See, I'm talking to you guys, and I'm sure you guys are like, wait, but what about this? And I don't get to that point because I'm just one mind. But when I have someone else talking to me, like I could tell you how many customers through Operation Tomahawk, I could be on the phone, and I'm not kidding you, 4 hours, just back and forth, back and forth. It's an amazing thing. So it's just me and an inanimate object, and I'm talking to it. And I'm looking at me talking to myself, so that's even harder sometimes. But maybe that's why I don't maintain eye contact. Just kind of, you know, look around, focus on something small or big, you know. So I think I'm gonna do simple recipes along with some more complex ones. I want to say, well, the first week of every month we could do like a 20s and 30s get together at my church, and I do give them some food that they typically would either have to pay for at a restaurant, or it's something that they haven't been exposed to before. Not to say that they're not, you know, some people, especially you know, the younger 20-year-olds, they probably don't think to, you know, make Korean barbecue or, you know, chimichurri chicken or things like that. You know, they, especially like if they're at school, like they don't have all that extra money to just critique different restaurants, you know. So what I do is I'll make them all these different kinds of foods. If they really like it, I could teach them how to do it, or I could just give them the recipe. So I don't know if it's this weekend, but I think it's next Saturday. I'll probably be on again, if not before then, to do a, I'm going to do chimichurri chicken, if you're interested in watching, and maybe whatever new stuff that comes out, or maybe if I think of something way back when that woke me up, I could go ahead and talk to you about it. But yeah, chimichurri chicken is delicious. Very good. And I use a Argentinian recipe for the chimichurri sauce. It's absolutely delicious. It's a little on the creamy side, but it's so good. It's perfect. Because I like the Cuban one, and that could be a little tangy, but the Argentinian version is very, very tame. It almost has like an Italian touch to it. That's a little. All right, ready? Come one, come all. All right, so watch this. It may still be a little on the warm side, but you saw it. I put no butter, no oil, no cooking spray. There you go. You don't have to put any more grease than you have to on your cookies. And if anything, the cookie left behind the grease that they had, so it's even less that you're consuming. But I mean, great investment. Sorry, that was loud. All right, so I think I'm gonna let you guys go. If I find some more, I have a bunch of Praying Medic is a good one. He actually was studying Q since Trump got into office. I think Q's first post was in October. Now, I never even heard of them. I didn't even know it existed, these posts. But he's been following them since the beginning. He's been doing all this research. He actually wrote books on it. And he's pretty, I don't want to say the word accurate, but he's pretty on point with his research. And he also does a lot of talk on Christian healing. So he'll, you know, tell you prayers and things like that. So like if you have, you know, pain in your arm, he's actually had some testimonies of people where he I think he was the atheist. He was a major atheist at one point. was it him that got healed of something? Or was it him that after he got his faith healed another atheist? Well, anyways, it might have been him. It was either him or the other person. Anyway, you have to just watch his videos. He's great. There was pain in the knee, and despite this person not believing in a God at all, God was merciful enough to heal his knee, and he was actually able to walk normal again. So that was a pretty cool testimony, and I've actually seen some miraculous recoveries myself. If you want, I could share you one. So, I went to a harvest festival, and my church did a little stand, and it says, if you need prayer, come here. And I'm like, this is a waste of time. Sorry, it's coming from me, a Christian, right? This is a waste of time. Who's going to stop here after shopping and eating and enjoying the festivities to sit there and go to church again, right? Well, they did. There were people that came for prayer. So, my friend, oh God, what's her name? I haven't seen her in so long. Tana. There was a little girl, you know, no hair. She had like she looked like somebody, she was very pretty. You know, she looked like someone who advertises for St. Jude's. This pretty little girl, you know, cancer patient, and her mother. And she walks in and she goes, hey, can I get some prayer? And I said, sure, do you want me to pray for your daughter? And then Tana goes, no, I think she needs prayer. So I prayed over the mom. And this is where God takes over, and you're like, this is weird. Why would I say that? So I'm praying over the mom, right? And I say, God, you know, if it's in your if it's in your will for healing, you know, I ask that you heal her daughter. And I heard him say that she's pretty. And I'm like, that's got to be the enemy. Like, that's making fun. That's obviously she's pretty. Like, I'm not that kind of person. And then I'm sitting there arguing with God while I'm praying to him. So then he's like, she's being bullied. I'm like, nobody bullies a cancer patient. Like, back when I was a kid, like, if we saw someone on crutches, we would ask to borrow them because we thought they were cool. Or we wanted to look through each other's glasses because we wanted to see what it looked like. You know, we never, at least myself and my crew, we never went after a handicap or a sickness of any, especially cancer. You know, the person could possibly not be here for long. So why would you do that? So I'm arguing with him. I'm like, kids, don't do that. I'm like, that's going to be like off the wall. She's going to know that we're cuckoo bananas. Anyways, I obeyed. And I said, Lord, God wants you to know that she's beautiful, and despite what anybody says, that she is a beautiful child in his eyes, and I agree. And I was basically repeating what I called them thoughts, but it was actually him talking to me. I thought it was just me screwing around in my own head. You ever like have like that inner a-hole thought that just tells you to do the bad thing? You just know. I'm like, why would I do that? Like, what? Or you just randomly have like, I don't want to say it, but the P word cross your head, you know, like P, you know, out of nowhere. So I'm thinking like, it's like a thought like that. Well, anyways, getting back to it, the mom starts crying. She's sobbing. And I'm like, so then I felt this wave come over me. So then I'm like, I tried to keep praying, but because she was crying so hard, I was like, so Tana saw me kind of like starting to stammer, because it was almost like Peter on the water. Like, you realize that you're standing on water and it's like, oh crap, I'm in the middle of the ocean. You start sinking. That's basically what happened to me. So like, I'm praying and something's working. What's happening? So then Tana just grabbed the mother and hugged her. She's a big lady. And the woman just cried, and she goes, you're such a blessing, and you know, everything you said is actually happening, and this is something that she's struggling with. And I'm like, what? So that's a simple thing. A big one was, I used to work at the hospital, as you know if you watch my previous videos. My coworker knows this lady, I think she's from Africa. And I'm not going to tell you her name because she was a patient, but she was terminally ill. But she was in a home where this doctor and nurse was taking care of her, and he refused to feed her. He was abusing her. And he would feed her, and then he would put food on the end of the table and says, if you can't reach it, you can't eat. Like, he was terrible. And I remember the phone call I got, and my coworker's calling me, and she was in tears. She's like, I can't believe how they're treating her. So he just transferred her to the hospital. I don't think she's got long. So something came up inside me to go there and pray for her, but I'm thinking, well, I could do it. And I ended up locking myself out of the house along with my car keys. So I ended up falling asleep by the tree on the ground. But the next day when I went into work, Joni says, come upstairs. She was in the cancer ward. So, mind you, Joni goes, you know, could somebody lead us in prayer? And then I just had that feeling like, okay, now is the right time. Like, you're outside of your element, you're in mine now, right? I said, okay. And this is when I was a baby Christian, right? Sorry. I was a baby Christian, right? So, we all hold hands. Now, mind you, we're very mixed up here. So we had Hindus, we had Muslims, we had Jewish people. And I'm like, I'm a Christian. I don't know how they're going to take this. Well, so we all hold hands and we're circling the bed, and the doctors were included, the ones that came to help her. They were in the room, so some residents, some doctors, nurses. So we're all holding hands. I said, dear Heavenly Father, I come to you now. I don't even remember what I said. All I know is this whoosh, and this, it was like I spoke with authority, which I don't even do that. Well, at that time, I didn't even do that on the street. I never spoke with authority. I'm this timid, you know, college kid. So I'm like, God, like, give her the, you know, give her the strength to speak. Let her speak, you know, give her the closure. And I don't remember all the stuff I said, but it all came out. And then it was like a chill, or like this wave hit the room. You actually felt this breeze. And then one of the Muslim doctors was like, what was that? And I said, that was God. It was this, we all felt it. It was just this feeling over the patient. And I think they meant what I was saying too. And of course, at the end I said, in the name of Jesus. But, you know, I meant what I said. And of course, you know, I felt this thing come through me. Now, I'm not a healer. I'm not a, you know, a spiritual advisor. I was just his conduit to transfer the energy to the patient. Well, patient's still sleeping, so I'm like, oh, nothing happened. And the next day, and now she had a tube down her throat. She was basically hospice in the hospital. Like, she was on her way out. Joni calls me the next day and says, Kristen, she's sitting up talking and eating with us. Wow. She died a few days later, but she was able to speak, give her family members her last message, give everyone closure, tell everyone they love them, say her piece about, you know, what happened or whatever she needed to do, because we had faith enough to pray. I'm not taking the glory. I'm just saying that if you believe, even if you don't, and you just give that mustard seed ounce of faith, okay, things can happen. So, with that, I'm gonna eat a cake like I need it. Excuse me. Like I need it. And hopefully I'll talk to you soon.